My name is Tony, and I have what's called a dual diagnosis, or co-occurring disorders, which means that I suffer from a mental illness as well as a problem with addiction. It's currently estimated that 9.2 million people 18 and older suffer from some sort of mental health and addiction related problem or co-occurring disorder. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, approximately 11.4 million people also suffer from mental illness in one form or fashion or another by itself without addiction. Well, the main focus of my channel is not to focus on the fact of my co-occurring disorder, but more on what life is like outside of that and what life means for me living a simple life now in recovery. I have to start back at the beginning and where it all began and discuss what that did for my life and to my life that changed my life into what it is today. The reason why many people will turn to substance abuse in the first place is because they are finding their life to be uncomfortable. They suffer from the dis-ease of living clean and sober. And because alcohol and drugs are so ingrained in our culture, we still have a hard time admitting their often fatal effects. By drinking and using drugs, they are self-medicating. If the individual does not get their dual diagnosis treated, it is likely to continue to cause them problems in their recovery. For me, that battle started at 19 years old, and I went undiagnosed until I was approximately 43 years old. By that point, I had also developed a hell of an addiction because of my self-medicating and other bad habits that eventually turned into that addiction. The two things out of balance created a lot of chaos in my life. Because my symptoms of my addiction were masking symptoms of my mental illness, and the symptoms of my mental illness were often confused with symptoms of addiction, it made it almost impossible to diagnose. So for me, long before Bozeman and the seed that changed my life that brought me here to Montana, I had to go through a grinder in life that taught me a lot of lessons about who I was. My name is Tony, and I have a dual diagnosis, which means I suffer from a mental illness called bipolar, and I've had to deal with my problems with addiction. I had to solve both of those problems at the same time in order to make the changes necessary in my life in order to get to a place where I have found serenity and peace and decided to move to Montana.
Child, I know you're hurt and you can't let go. It's not your fault and you don't deserve all the bad and the hurt. I know you tried so hard. I know you've done your part. It's not fair. You did your time. How much longer will you suffer in this life? But don't give up. Just hold on tight. It'll be alright.
One thing I had to learn is that I am not my diagnosis. I have bipolar. I am not bipolar. And that is a clear distinction in my life that made a great deal of difference for me.
Didn't seem to do you any good. I know you've tried so hard. I know you've done your part. It's not fair. You did your time. How much longer will you suffer in this life? But don't give up, just hold on tight. It'll be alright.
People that suffer from with mental health and addiction, or both the things at the same time, are no different than anybody else. They're parents, they're your brothers, they're your sisters. They have jobs and they're co-workers. So they all go through the same sorts of things. What I've learned today is that all of this stuff for me was treatable. As long as I continue to follow a program of recovery, as long as I take care of my mental health, I not only have learned how to live, but I've learned how to thrive.